Absolutely. And we are like the catalyst, right? Like a conscious
Yep.
catalyst that is the
So,
guide, the facilitator to help them think about things in ways they haven't thought about before. When you're stuck
mhm.
in a difficult parenting situation and every day is chaos, your mind isn't, thinking about it from different perspectives. And
No.
I really have seen the magic of the process. I mean,
Mhm.
it's just the way it unfolds just has my jaw dropping, every time.
Yep.
So it's super fun.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Infinite Abilities Podcast. I am your host, Nick Yerhart, and we are here to encourage each other to find our own unique abilities. Let's go. This episode of the Infinite Abilities Podcast is brought to you by the one and only Infinite Toolbox, where just like all other toolboxes, we will get the job done, guaranteed. Whether you're an entrepreneur looking to save time, boost revenue, or automate your processes, Infinite Toolbox has got you covered. With powerful tools designed to drive leads, expand your reach, and gain your industry secrets, we help you work smarter, not harder. Are you ready to take your business to the next level? Visit us at infinitetoolbox.com. That's infinitetoolbox.com, and discover how infinite your potential really is. All right, so today we have Natalie, and I know that she's going to drop a lot of stuff that you're going to love. So, Natalie, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure, Nick. Well, first of all, I'm really happy to be here on your podcast, Infinite Abilities. I've worked with children my entire life, elementary school teacher for 30 years. I've run childcare. I have a childcare business for after school age children. I've run a
Awesome.
kinder music studio, and now I am a parent coach. So I'm very excited to be stepping into the realm of helping parents. And I know that's one of your things that you do as well. So you know how
Yep.
important that work is.
Mhm.
Parents really need to be supported, and I'm really enjoying this new stage of my career, I guess.
That's so awesome. And then what is it that you help the parents with?
So, my training is basically global. I can help a parent with any child's age, any issues that they're going through. So some of my clients have had toddlers, and right up to one of my clients had an 18-year-old. Because I think you probably understand this. We're not parenting coaches.
No.
We're parent coaches. So
Yeah.
we really look at the skills.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. So we look at the skills and the strengths that the parent already has, and we work
Mm-hmm.
with those and their values. So I often joke with people, and because some people don't really, they hear parent coaching and they think, oh, super nanny's going to come to my house and fix all my problems and tell me what to do. And it's like, yeah, I have some great tips and tricks and strategies, but if the parent themselves don't connect with that, if that doesn't work with any of their strengths, then those tips and tricks, like all the things they see online, they're amazing. But it has to fit into your family, your personality, your values in order to really make that transformational change, right?
Yep, I agree. And what got you started on this journey? Because I know, like all of us entrepreneurs, especially coaches, it's like we all have a story. We went through something that led us to the path that we're on now.
Absolutely. Well, I've kind of always had the entrepreneurial spirit. I started my childcare business in 2011. But again, like the journey, the reason I started that business was because I was a single mother and I had no childcare for my own children when they started school. So I said, oh, okay, let me do this. So with the parent coaching, after 30 years in education and working with the children from children with infinite abilities, children with challenges of behavior, whatever, all the kids. I realized, after meeting with parents, they are struggling. They don't have the knowledge or the training, to deal with some of the issues that come up. And I thought, this could be a much more impactful way because you're getting almost to the root, right? Because I know by helping the parents, I'm helping the kids. So.
Oh yeah, For sure. And when you're working with your parents, you know, what's like the structure for your coaching? Like, do you have like a starting point, and then you kind of work through like, 3 to 5 steps?
I'm really glad you asked that question, Nick. Before I get it, I'm a kind of a nerd. I did a lot of research before I took my parent coach training. And I went through everything that's out there online, and I finally settled on the Parent Coaching Institute, which was started back in 2001 by a lady named Gloria De Catano. And she is absolutely brilliant. And what she did for our process of PCI coaches, because this is a shout out if anyone's looking for a parent coach, the PCI is the best.
Yep.
Along with 100 hours of training of coaching while we're being supervised, it's a master's level course. So what Gloria did was she took a process that typically businesses use. It's called appreciative inquiry. So it's based on positive psychology and the steps that we take the parents through. We start with discovery, which is all about finding out what the issues are. And then from the discovery, we pull out their strengths. Then we take them and we want them to build a dream. What does, or goals, whatever vocabulary works. Some people think dream is too, but where do they want to see themselves? And that's our jumping point to take us through the next number of sessions, which we call design, where that's where we really get into the meat and the potatoes of, okay, how are we going to work through this issue? And then we finalize it with destiny, meaning how are we going to sustain these transformational changes? And so it's very much a co-creative process where, the parent, and I've noticed this in my, I've noticed this in my sessions, when I first was going through the training, I'm thinking, they're telling me, they're like, well, 90% of the time the parent really does come up with a solution. And I'm thinking, no way, right? But honestly, Nick, that's what I've seen. They come up with the solutions, and that's how we can help them through that transformational change. So, I found those steps very, very powerful, but they look different for every client, right? It's not that there's certain tools I use with each parent, a strength survey or parent style inventory, different those tools, but those steps look very different for each client for sure.
Yep. I agree. And like with each client, I know for me, like, we got to kind of reverse engineer where they want to be. It's like, okay, here's your goal. Now, what is it going to take to hit that? And then go step by step through that. So I like your process a lot, because that's, what I do too. And it's cool when you're a coach, because, you said, like, they have the answers. We just have to help them reveal the answers.
Yes.
And that's what coaching is. It's just working with the client, asking the right questions to figure out how they can get to where they want to go.
Absolutely. And we are like the catalyst, right? Like a conscious catalyst that is the guide, the facilitator, to help them think about things in ways they haven't thought about before. When you're stuck in a difficult parenting situation and every day is chaos, your mind isn't, thinking about it from different perspectives. And I really have seen the magic of the process. It's just the way it unfolds just has my jaw dropping, every time. So it's super fun.
And then, for everybody listening, like we are coaches. We can help our clients. But the funny thing is, we cannot coach ourselves. So we need our own coaches. And I like to tell people, if you have a coach and your coach does not have a coach, you should get a new coach. Because we should always be growing and developing and sharpening our skills and working through our problems. We still have our own problems that we have to work through. And a lot of times we can't do that alone. We need a coach to help us.
Absolutely. I found that for the online business space. I mean, I've run business for 15 years, but online, there is nothing linear about this, right?
No.
Some days it
No.
feels like I'm throwing spaghetti at the wall and just kind of, what's going to happen next, right?
Yep.
It's, so yeah, I have a business coach. And the other thing for us, I think, as coaches, Nick, is we really have to prioritize our mental health, our self-care, in order to be in the right space to hold that space for our clients. I take self-care now. That's part of my job, right? Like it's scheduled in that this is actually part of my job in order to serve my clients better and to practice what I preach. All parents need self-care. Did I always do it? No. Am I going to sit here and tell you I was a perfect parent? No, because a perfect parent doesn't exist, right? We just do the best that we can.
Mm-hmm. And I'm glad that you talked about self-care because that is so important. And I learned the hard way, a few months ago, probably a couple months ago. Like I hit a wall. I was so focused on building my business and just working. I was neglecting myself and my mental health. And I hit a wall. I went into what they call burnout. That's what everybody says. I went into that, and then I didn't want to get anything done. And I will say I'm still working through that. I'm still like it's hard to dig yourself out once you get so low. So I'm working really hard to take care of my mental health, and I've talked to my coaches. I got a therapist, and now I'm taking time for myself to enjoy life. It's not all about work. I still have to prioritize my health and my happiness.
Absolutely. And everybody should do that, right?
Yeah.
It's so important. And, people think, oh, self-care, well, it's, taking bubble baths and going to the spa. As you know, it's not just about those things.
No.
For some people, it's setting boundaries or reducing their work day. That's a part of self-care, learning to be able to say no. When people are constantly asking you to do things and you have this giving heart and you want to help, but part of your self-care is to be able to say, I'm sorry, I don't have the capacity to do that right now. Right. Yeah. And that balance. And, I really explain that to parents because your kids are watching you. Right.
Exactly.
So if they grow up seeing a parent who is setting boundaries, who is taking time to enjoy themselves and having fun, well, then the child's going to do that as well. Right.
Yeah, exactly. And, it goes all the way down to, eating healthy, exercising, make sure that you're taking the right action for yourself, because if you're not healthy, then you can't help your clients the way that you should. So yeah, that's right. I love that. And what would be a couple of tips that you could give our parents right now?
Well, you know how big this question is because we have parents of toddlers, we have parents of teenagers. So I guess I'm a big one on a big general one for me is looking at how technology might be impacting the family system. Don't want anyone to feel bad. It's not about taking all the screens away forever. Technology is a tool. We use it in the schools, all of those things. But I think, it's our children are losing their connections with themselves because everything is coming from outside. When I was young, not you, you're still young, but when I was young, media was, dad reading the newspaper and, the hour-long Disney show that was on Saturday. And other than that, my circle of my world was not dominated by media. But if you look now, a child's life is dominated by media at home, at school, in the community, right? So it's kind of pervasing every part. So, for our children to develop their true selves and their whole brain, they need to have that time for creativity. They need time to be bored. They need time to really get to know their inner selves. So, I would just encourage parents to kind of look at what is this how is this technology looking in your family system right now? How much time are you spending to de-stress on a device? Are you giving your child a device to calm their emotions? That's a whole other conversation. You know, is it just for entertainment, or is it being used as a tool? Is the time balanced between using these tools of technology and other creative pursuits, whether it be physical activity out in the community, developing imagination, you know, all of those sort of skills. So, you know, it's a process, and one that I help parents work through. Another thing I would add, if your children are a little older, is also to look into some digital and media literacy and having conversations about what they're watching and knowing what they're interested in, and having those conversations about, you know, is all the information on this website true? What is the purpose behind this message that we're getting? And kind of develop that critical thinking piece in our kids, so that, because ultimately what we all want is for them to be able to intrinsically be motivated enough to balance their hours on screens and technology for themselves, right? That's kind of where we want to go. So we need to be teaching those skills as we go along. So that, to me, that's a big one.
Yep, I agree, because, you know, I could, being on screens all the time, it's just like growing and growing and growing. And it's like, you know, when I was a kid, all I wanted to do was, if it was nice outside, I wanted to be outside. And now a lot of kids, they would just rather sit on an iPad or watch TV, and that's not healthy. It's like, let's get outside, get some exercise, fresh air, sun. You know, that's going to be a lot better for the kids.
Absolutely. For all of their development, for their social and emotional skills, for their physical well-being, their mental health. You know, the rising rates of anxiety and depression in our young people today. They need to connect with their own inner voice, right? And if you have always something coming at you, how are you listening to what's going on, right? In your mind, in your own heart. So.
Yeah, and I think a good thing to teach your kids when they are younger, you know, even when they get older, is like, pay attention to what is on your screen. You know, like, what social media are you looking at? What videos are you watching? Because, you know, what we take in is what we put out. So, like, if you're taking in negative stuff all the time, like I used to, well, then you're just a negative person, and you're unhappy, you're mean, rude, or whatever. It's like, we gotta pay attention, and, you know, I had to clean house on my social media, so now when I'm on there, all I get is positive messages, and I also don't watch the news, because that's a whole lot of negative.
Same.
Yep.
Same. And that's a question, you know, not just for the kids, Nick. Like I ask the parents, you know,
Everyone.
what are you watching? So when you're scrolling, I did the same as you. My social media is all positive quotes and inspirational stuff. And you know, when I'm scrolling, I'm smiling, right? But, you know, I ask parents, you know, when you're scrolling, how's this making you feel? Like, are you feeling, you know, fear of missing out? Are you feeling, when you see this other person parenting their kids at the park, is that making you feel bad? You know, we have to connect with, how are these things making us feel? Again, it can be used as a tool, but the discussion about, so one of the things I ask parents to do, let's say their kid's really involved in some sort of video game, and I tell them to get right deep in there, figure out what's going on in this game, what they like about it. So as parents, we got to be the detectives, right? Try to figure out what is drawing my child to this game. And then I ask them, and we brainstorm, it's in the design phase. So what are some ways we can take those things from the game that they love to do about that game? How can we bring that into the 3D world? Right? Whether it's,
awesome.
like I said, if it's a scavenger hunt or a strategy game, well, is there a way we can bring that off of the screen and bring it into the real world for them, where they still get that need met, right? It's all about they need. Is it just entertainment, or is it they are trying to build critical thinking skills in a certain video game, or, you know, and having those discussions. They're never too young to start. So I had a client with a 2.5-year-old, And she wanted to kind of reduce his screen time. She noticed his behavior in the morning when he was watching, TV. He was more whiny and things. And so I said to her, I said, so when you do have that short bit of screen time, I said, sit with him, see what he's watching. And I said, start asking him questions about the characters. How does this person feel? And what do you think is going to happen next? Right? Just curiosity questions. And Nick, she was like, what? He's 2.5. Are you kidding me? Right? She kind of thought I was a little off center. Right?
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? I said, just try. Anyway, the next week, she came back and she said, Natalie, you'll never believe what happened. She said, he has started now asking me questions about what he's seeing on the screen.
Awesome.
So, it's don't think your child is too young to have, to start noticing those things. They are brilliant beings, and we just need to model for them that curiosity and that critical thinking, right?
Yep, I agree. That is so awesome. And how can people reach out to you?
So the best place to reach me is on my website, which is basically my name, nataliemccabe.com. They can reach out and just book a free call. We'll just have a chat like you and I are now to see if parent coaching is a fit for them. I'll always give some value in that phone call, whether they decide to become a client or not. In the next few months, I'll be having a book come out called Sink or Swim Parenting, which is basically kind of a one-stop shop that talks about my personal stories, but different aspects of parenting that I think are important through all of my years as a parent and a teacher. And I'm also going to be sharing some workshops with parents. We have a mental health crisis here in North America. So I partnered with an organization called Go Zen, and they're one of the country's leading providers of educational materials to help children with social and emotional challenges. So I'll have some workshops about anger transformation, growth mindset, and how to develop resiliency and reduce that anxiety piece. So lots of great things happening.
That's really awesome. That's good. So one last question. My slogan is, your abilities are infinite. What does that mean to you?
I love that your slogan is infinite, the name of your pod. I love that. And I believe that everyone's abilities are truly infinite, meaning they're never ending. I mean, you're constantly learning and growing, and that's what we're here to do. I believe that's everyone's purpose, is to continue to be infinite. I mean, yeah, is it scary sometimes? Yeah. Like, I'm 50 starting a whole new business, right? Like, it's, but I mean, the enjoyable parts of it, I just have fun with it, and enjoy that learning piece, and I'll be able to help people, right? So we should just never stop and be stuck and stay in the same place. That's no fun. That's not why we're here. We're here to be infinite beings.
Yep, I agree. Thank you so much for that. And thank you for being on the show. It was really great to have you on.
Thank you, Nick. I'm really glad you to have me.
If you enjoyed this show, please go ahead and share it on your Instagram story and tag me here, the Nick Yerhart. Also, go ahead and share it anywhere else that you see fit, because the only way that I can grow this is by you guys sharing it. I don't sell anything on here. I don't have any sponsors. So let's just get it out there by word of mouth, help more people. All right, everyone. Remember, your abilities are infinite.